August 9, 1965. On this day, Singapore, a tiny island barely larger than New York City, was thrust into an uncertain independence. Surrounded by larger, sometimes hostile neighbors, and lacking any significant natural resources, no fresh water, no oil, no arable land, its future looked incredibly bleak. Singapore was an economic anomaly, a city without a hinterland, given little chance of survival, let alone prosperity. Its very existence was a precarious gamble on the global stage. This was not a nation born into privilege, but into profound vulnerability, a stark reality that would forever shape its destiny. Leading this fledgling nation was Lee Kuan Yew, a Cambridge-educated lawyer whose face, etched with a mix of defiance and grim determination, became synonymous with Singapore's struggle. He famously wept on television when announcing the separation from Malaysia, but swiftly channeled that emotion into an unyielding resolve. Lee Kuan Yew understood that Singapore's survival depended entirely on its ability to carve out a unique niche in the world. He was acutely aware that failure was not an option, the very existence of his people hung in the balance. The conventional wisdom dictated that prosperity stemmed from natural endowments. Countries with oil, minerals, or vast agricultural lands had a clear path to development. Singapore had none of these. Its most pressing concern was fresh water, mostly imported from Malaysia, leaving it vulnerable to political whims. Land was scarce, and its small population offered little domestic market. This scarcity, however, forced a radical re-evaluation. Instead of lamenting what it lacked, Singapore decided to amplify its only true asset, its strategic geographical position and, more importantly, its people. Lee Kuan Yew's first, audacious gamble was to transform Singapore into an indispensable global hub for trade and logistics. He envisioned an island not just as a stopover, but as the most efficient, reliable, and connected port in the world. Its location at the crossroads of major shipping lanes, particularly the Strait of Malacca, was a geographic gift. The challenge was to leverage this advantage to attract ships, goods, and capital, turning a strategic spot on the map into an economic magnet. This required foresight, massive investment, and unwavering commitment. To realize this vision, Singapore poured resources into developing a world-class port infrastructure. The Port of Singapore Authority, or PSA, was established to manage and expand these facilities with relentless efficiency. They invested heavily in cutting-edge container technology, streamlining operations, and drastically reducing turnaround times for ships. This wasn't just about building docks, it was about creating a seamless, reliable ecosystem that offered unparalleled speed and connectivity. Over decades, Singapore became the busiest transshipment port globally, connecting thousands of ports worldwide. Beyond physical infrastructure, Singapore understood that an intangible asset was equally crucial: trust. In the post-colonial era, many developing nations struggled with systemic corruption, which acted as a corrosive acid, undermining institutions and scaring away investment. Lee Kuan Yew recognized this as an existential threat. He famously declared that Singapore would not just tackle corruption, but surgically remove it. This commitment wasn't merely rhetorical, it became a foundational pillar of the nation's economic strategy and its very identity. To achieve this, Singapore established the Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau (CPIB), an independent body empowered with significant investigative powers, answerable directly to the Prime Minister. Laws were strengthened, penalties became severe, and enforcement was ruthless, even against high-ranking officials. Crucially, civil servants were paid competitive, market-rate salaries to remove the incentive for bribery. This combination of strong political will, robust institutions, and an attractive public service environment created an exceptionally clean government and business landscape, a rarity in the region, and a powerful magnet for foreign capital. With its strategic location and a reputation for integrity firmly established, Singapore then aggressively pursued foreign direct investment, FDI. They understood that without natural resources, they needed to import capital, technology, and expertise. The Economic Development Board (EDB) was created to actively court multinational corporations (MNCs) from around the globe. Singapore offered generous tax incentives, a stable political environment, and the promise of efficient, corruption-free operations. It became a compelling proposition for companies seeking a trusted base in Southeast Asia. This policy bore fruit. Initially, Singapore attracted labor-intensive manufacturing in textiles and basic electronics. But as its workforce became more skilled, it strategically moved up the value chain. Large industrial parks, like Jurong, were developed with ready infrastructure for complex industries. Soon, major players in semiconductors, petrochemicals, and pharmaceuticals established significant operations, transforming Singapore into a sophisticated global manufacturing hub. The island, once poor, was now producing high-value goods for the world, creating jobs and wealth at an unprecedented pace. Recognizing that human capital was its only true resource, Singapore embarked on an ambitious program of education and skills development. The curriculum was meticulously designed to align with economic needs, emphasizing English as a global lingua franca, alongside science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. Vocational training institutes were established to equip the workforce with practical skills demanded by multinational companies. This commitment ensured a steady supply of well-educated, adaptable, and highly skilled workers, making Singapore even more attractive to global businesses and accelerating its growth trajectory. The investment in education paid off handsomely. Singapore quickly developed a highly educated, multilingual workforce, capable of navigating the complexities of global commerce and advanced manufacturing. This human capital became a core competitive advantage. Foreign companies found it easy to operate in Singapore, with ready access to skilled engineers, technicians, and managers. This virtuous cycle of attracting investment, developing skills, and then attracting more sophisticated investment, cemented Singapore's place as a premier destination for business and innovation, proving that talent, not territory, truly builds wealth. Rapid urbanization often brings with it immense social challenges, and Singapore was no exception. In the early years, widespread poverty meant many lived in cramped, unsanitary slums and dilapidated shophouses. This burgeoning housing crisis posed a significant threat to social cohesion and stability, potentially undermining all economic progress. Lee Kuan Yew recognized that a prosperous nation needed a well-housed, contented populace. Addressing this fundamental need became a top priority, not just for welfare, but for national stability and long-term economic sustainability. To combat this, the Housing Development Board (HDB) was established, embarking on one of the most successful public housing programs in the world. HDB constructed massive, modern, and affordable apartment complexes across the island, quickly rehousing hundreds of thousands. Crucially, the government encouraged home ownership, granting citizens a tangible stake in the nation's success. Today, over 80% of Singaporeans live in HDB flats, with more than 90% owning their homes. This policy not only solved a social crisis but also fostered a sense of national belonging and pride, literally building a nation from the ground up. The cumulative effect of these meticulously planned and rigorously executed policies was nothing short of miraculous. Within a single generation, Singapore transformed itself from a struggling third-world outpost into a vibrant, prosperous, first-world nation. Its GDP per capita soared, living standards dramatically improved, and its cities became models of efficiency and cleanliness. This extraordinary transformation was not an accident but the deliberate outcome of visionary leadership, strategic pragmatism, and a relentless focus on creating value in a resource-constrained environment, proving that will can overcome circumstance. Today, Singapore stands as one of the wealthiest countries in the world, with a GDP per capita rivaling that of major developed economies. It's a leading global financial center, a hub for innovation and technology, and consistently ranked among the best places to do business. Its Changi airport is renowned, its urban planning envied, and its economy continues to attract top talent and investment. The gleaming skyscrapers and lush gardens of modern Singapore are a testament to what a nation can achieve when it plays to its strengths and relentlessly pursues a clearly defined vision, against all odds. Singapore's journey didn't end with wealth. Recognizing the need for continuous evolution, it remains committed to innovation and adaptation. Initiatives like the Smart Nation program focus on leveraging technology to improve urban living, healthcare, and economic competitiveness. Investments in research and development, sustainable urban solutions like vertical farming, and continuous workforce reskilling ensure that Singapore stays ahead of global trends. The island continues to redefine itself, proving that sustained prosperity requires constant foresight and a willingness to embrace change, ensuring its future amidst new challenges. So, what lessons can other countries learn from Singapore's remarkable ascent? First and foremost is the critical role of visionary and decisive leadership. Lee Kuan Yew and his team articulated a clear, long-term vision for the nation's survival and prosperity, and then pursued it with unwavering resolve. This wasn't about short-term populism, but about making tough, strategic decisions for the future, even when they were unpopular. Such leadership, capable of inspiring trust and executing grand plans, is often the missing ingredient in many development stories. The second crucial lesson is the absolute importance of a strong rule of law and a meritocratic system. Singapore built a society where corruption was ruthlessly suppressed, and where competence, not connections, determined advancement. This created a level playing field for businesses and citizens alike, fostering trust in institutions and encouraging honest hard work. Without this foundational integrity, investment falters, talent flees, and societies inevitably stagnate. It proves that good governance is not a luxury, but a fundamental prerequisite for economic growth and social stability. Finally, Singapore's success underscores the power of strategic pragmatism. The nation consistently adapted its policies to changing global conditions, always prioritizing practical outcomes over rigid ideology. It embraced globalization, courted foreign investment, and invested heavily in infrastructure and education, even when resources were scarce. This willingness to learn, adapt, and make hard choices, driven by a clear understanding of its unique constraints and opportunities, allowed Singapore to turn its disadvantages into defining strengths. It's a powerful demonstration of human ingenuity in the face of adversity. From a small, vulnerable island, Singapore forged its own destiny through sheer will and brilliant execution. Its journey from third world to first is a powerful testament to the fact that natural resources, while helpful, are not the sole determinants of a nation's prosperity. With visionary leadership, unwavering integrity, and strategic investments in its people and infrastructure, any nation, regardless of its starting point, can aspire to build a thriving future. Singapore's story is a beacon of hope and a practical blueprint for countries worldwide, proving that with the right choices, even the smallest can become global giants.